Hello everybody, how are you doing? Hey, I'm back for another video, and this one I'm happy to do because it's a response video from my friend and yours, Schnee. Schnee just did a great video about what his favorite solo Beatles album of all time is. Now that doesn't mean, like he said, it's the best Beatles solo album. It doesn't mean that it's the world's most famous Beatles solo album. It has to come from your heart, from your soul. What is your favorite solo Beatles album? And you can't pick one from each Beatle, you just have to pick what is your favorite emotional, meaningful solo Beatles album. And before I get started, because a lot of people ask me, if you're wondering what's playing in the background, I figured I'd do a little of that. Here's what's playing right now in the background. Great, great album. This is side 2 of The Market's Out of Limits. And side 1 has the famous song called Out of Limits. This is side 2. Okay, so for those that like to know, that's what I'm listening to. But let's get started with Stephen's request. And Stephen, I'm happy to do this for you. Stephen's a great friend here, and I really suggest you check out his channel and videos at Stephen with a PH, Schnee, S-C-H-N-E-E, Stephen Schnee. Okay, Stephen, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it exactly the way you wanted. So here's what I'm going to do. My favorite solo Beatles album of all time will be the last one I show. How's that? But I have to give credit to the other 3 Beatles. So what I've done in my video is I'm going to show you my favorite, doesn't mean it's their best album, but for me, Matt Street, emotionally, spiritually, in my life, these are my favorite solo Beatles albums by each of the other 3 Beatles, okay? And then by the time I get to the end of these 3, you'll know which solo Beatle holds the title of having my favorite solo Beatles album. Okay, so here's my first one. This is my favorite by this solo Beatle, John Lennon. I know a lot of people would pick Imagine or the Plastic Ono Band. I'm sorry, John, he left us way too soon. I wish he had put out more solo material, but I'm blessed and happy with what I have of John and what he left us, and thankful. So my favorite solo Beatles album of John's is Walls and Bridges. Okay, the next Beatle I'm going to cover is Ringo. This is my favorite Ringo solo album. Now, I know there's people are would pick others, but for me, emotionally, just struck a nerve with me when it first came out. This is my favorite Ringo Starr solo album. Time Takes Time. I love this album. I always will. There's many other Ringo albums I cherish, but this is my favorite. Time Takes Time by Ringo. The next Beatle is George. So now you know who my favorite solo Beatle has the top album, or whatever you put it. Okay, George Harrison. This is my favorite solo George Harrison album. It was a toss-up between this one and one other one, but you know what? I'm giving it to this one. Like Stephen said in his video, doesn't necessarily mean it has to be his all-time best, greatest, or sales, or blah, 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 blah. What hits you emotionally? What is the one that means the most to you? And this is it. And there was another couple too that I could have picked as far as emotional, having an impact on me, but this is the one I'm going to pick. This is my favorite George album. But let's get to the point of Stephen's request. My favorite solo Beatles album of all time is by Paul McCartney. I'm sure it's going to be one that surprises a lot of people who would pick other stuff. But for me, this is it. And I'm happy to say I matched Stephen with my selection. And to prove that this isn't just I'm trying to kiss up to Stephen pick, go back well over a year and a half ago, I did a ranking of Paul McCartney's albums. 25 of them, I think. And this came out number 1 then, and it comes out number 1 now. Emotionally, spiritually, in my heart and in my soul, this is my favorite Paul McCartney solo album, Back to the Egg. Okay, Stephen, there you have it. So this is my favorite. This, out of all the Beatles, this is my favorite Beatles solo album as well. Sorry. I know. Like he said, it goes by emotion. It goes by what hits you, what touched you in a certain special way at a certain time in your life. And for me, it will always be this one. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this little foray down the road of picking our favorite solo Beatles album of all time. Thanks to Steve Schnee for the suggestion. I'm happy to do it, Stephen. Take care, all of you. I'll see you very soon. Bless you. Take care.